Hello, everybody. Hello, Peter. Hello, Mack. Mack, it's nice to have
Hello,
you on the show.
everybody.
Hey, it's nice to meet you guys. Hey, guys, I am so excited for this interview. I have a lot of students, and my students wanted me to ask you guys a lot of questions too through this interview.
Nice.
They're like, yes. We're like, yes.
Yes,
they're
but
because you don't know nearly as much as these two master archers. I'm like, so we need the information.
Peter, whom is he talking about? Lars Andersen?
I don't know. Yes, about Lars. He's talking about Lars.
No,
Lars and Jeff. I understand.
You guys are the master archers. You guys are two well-good master archers.
But first we ask the questions. First we ask. So first of all, not everybody knows you right now. You have Facebook channel Martial Archery, and you do very interesting stuff like fast shooting. But first of all, introduce yourself, please, to our audience. Who you are, where you come from, what you're doing right now, kind of stuff.
All right, you got it. My name is Mack. I go by Martial Archery because I want people to know of what I'm doing and more of like what I'm doing than who I am as a person.
Yep.
So that's the reason why I go by Martial Archery instead of my name, because I want to be kind of like silent, even though that I do want subscribers on YouTube. It's just to promote this style of archery here in America, because there is not a lot of archers in America who do Eastern style of shooting.
Yeah,
you know, like you can find the 3-finger draw on every corner, but a lot of these shops that if you go in there and you start doing thumb draw or Slavic, they'll simply tell you to leave, especially if you live way out in the country like I do right now, because it's like, there's only one way to shoot. There's one way to shoot only, and that's it, you know? So, and so I'm coming from that type of background, and a lot of people, especially in the South, they can tell you like, look, there is only one way to shoot, you know, still, unless you watch, you know, like you get on YouTube and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of teachers of this style of archery in America. There is not at all. And I come from the Kentucky, Southern Indiana area. And I was flipping houses in both Southern Indiana and in like the Northern Kentucky area. And what got me into archery was out of necessity, you know, being very, very, very poor. And I wanted to give my family good organic meat. But the price of meat, okay, like it's $1 a pound for like junk meat. At the time it was like $1 a pound, and you can get, you know, meat that's full of preservatives, chemicals, and everything like that is processed to the teeth, and they do not feed the animals the correct way. I mean, like that's what a lot of people don't understand about the meat that they get from the stores. A lot of these are grain fed. Cows are not supposed to be grain fed, and that does stuff to the meat that doesn't allow you to have all the nutrients that you should have, because there's omega-3s in meat, okay? But the store version of meat, there is no omega-3s in store-bought meat, you know, like from your ground beef and stuff like that. So when I had my first child, I was like, I gotta make sure my boy is healthy and strong. And firearms were very expensive. You know, I come from America. That's a land of guns. You know, everybody's got a gun under the bed and then here and there, but guns are expensive nonetheless. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So when I first started out, I was using like a PVC type of bow, using the 3-finger, trying my hardest. The arrow didn't match. I didn't know nothing about archery at all whatsoever.
How long is this ago? How long is this ago?
This was about 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
About eight years ago, because my son's turning 8. So it was just a little bit before then. It was while my wife was still pregnant.
Okay.
And it was about 8.5 years ago. And so I started off and I'm like, I'm just going to make myself a bow. There we go. You know, it's the cheapest route. And there we go. You know, we got some PVC pipe down at the local construction site. So I'm going to grab some of that, grab some paracord, and I'm going to put an arrow on it, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to hunt. Little did I know that you needed to have the right spine, you needed to have the right tip, you needed to have this and that, and so on and so forth. And then I had to go get all the hunting licenses and all this other stuff. So I eventually got the right spine to the right poundage draw, because I had friends in an archery club that helped me out. And they're like, here, just use this bow. And actually here, I'll show you the bow. real quick.
Yeah.
This bow right here was actually my first bow, and it is an antique. And I finally got my hands on it right now.
Nice.
It is, it's a Martin.
Martin.
Wow.
It is an old Martin. And me and this bow right here have been through hell and back. I'll tell you that. We have seen our struggles.
Martin is a good brand, good maker is Martin Archery.
Yeah, that bow has lasted me now for a long time. My bow, I sold it once I got into Eastern archery to buy Eastern bows, and I had to find it and I had to track it down and to buy it back. And it's taken me a long time to find that one bow that I had, and but I finally got it back, and I should have never sold it. If that's the advice that I can give to anybody, is when you get your first bow, don't sell it. Don't sell it. I know it's very tempting, but that first bow, you'll always have a connection with that bow.
That's true.
Nice. So, and so there are not a lot of jobs around in Kentucky or southern Indiana area?
No, sir. No, sir. Not for Eastern archery. Now, I can go buy a compound.
No. I'm talking about work.
Labor.
Oh, there is, but there isn't. There is, but if you have any bills, it's kind of hard to pay your bills with the money that they want to offer. So the best thing to do is to go out and make your own money.
Same here.
In my opinion. I believe that that's the best way, and it's easily doable in America as of right now. It's easily doable. But when it comes to working for somebody else, I mean, you're pretty much a slave to that job. You know what I mean? And that's just the unfortunate of our reality that we live in. They want you to work 40 hours at first, then they want you to work 50, then they want you to work weekends, and then sometimes they don't want to pay you the full amount, and then you have to go find another job. Especially with a lot of poor areas that I'm living in right now. So. And the reason it's not poor, I wouldn't say that the area I'm living in is poor. It's just more rural. It's further out in the country, so work is harder to come by.
Yeah, of course.
I drove through Kentucky and I love these areas where you can see single houses and sometimes a kind of trailer park, and they are, as you said, they're of course not rich people, but it's another way of living. I think you're more connected to yourself. You're responsible for yourself. I kind of like that landscape and how it is there. But because you said there's not a lot of martial archery around, maybe that's the way to go, to found a kind of school and have clients and so on in your area.
Yes, that is one of my dreams, is to have like a Martial Archery, like what Armin's doing, is to have that here and to let it explode, like let the Eastern archery explode here in, like the South and stuff like that. I would love for people just to come out to my ranch and be like, all right, let's all shoot. You know what I mean? I've got 5 or 6 people right now, they come and go, but I want to have like a lot of people to come out and shoot at my house and stuff like that. And for them to try other things like Slavic and thumb release and to like open them up, to different things.
So what is the advantage because you said in your area in the United States, there's a lot of 3 fingers draw and this and that. What is the advantage of Eastern archery compared to Western archery?
I would have to say speed. I would definitely have to say speed and arrow speed. I believe that you can get a faster arrow speed using Eastern archery with the correct type of katra. I do believe that the arrow speed does go a lot faster, and I believe that the loading time is a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So what is
I'm not saying.
what is the arrow speed of a nice made Catra shot? What is the speed of the arrow?
I don't know. I just feel like it's
Okay.
faster.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I don't have any like scientific evidence to back me up. I am going to get a chronograph. Mihai, I think that's how you say his name, how you pronounce it. Guys, I'm a country boy. I might pronounce names wrong.
I say Mihai too, so don't worry.
Okay, awesome. Mihai, I think he did one test and he showed that the arrow speed was a lot faster using his method and stuff like that. And even
Murat Özferi did this test once. The arrow speed was not that much faster. It depends how you shoot. Mihai does Catra and snap release. Of course, that brings the maximum out of a bow.
Compared to what? To a Western bow?
To Western static, having only this quick anchor here and letting go. Yeah, of course. You have more dynamic, because you simply get more speed out of a bow. Even if you shoot a long bow with thumb release and you do Catra and a little stuff, you get more speed out of it.
And that's how I first started shooting thumb release in Slavic.
You get much more speed out of a compound bow, no?
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, compound bows are super wicked fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, compound bows are wicked
loading,
fast. It's just a loading phase.
Loading is then a lot slower again, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it always depends. That's why martial archery, not for hunting. Hunting is different than doing these kind of stuff. I mean, when you think about protection or protect yourself or protect your house, if you don't have firearms, you can't only expect enemies to be far enough away that you have time to reload, like whatever, every 5 seconds.
So you have a bow in your sleeping room.
Yes, sir, I do. Yes, sir. I have one right there by my bed with quivers and stuff like that. I do have the stuff that goes boom, but I will not talk about
slowly. Talk a little
internet,
slowly. You have
because
you have some.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, guys. I had a cup of coffee today. I normally don't drink coffee. So.
Oh, that's why you're so hyper.
Yeah, and I'm really excited because
when you watch his videos, he's always like this. So it's not that it's the coffee now. Okay, don't blame the coffee.
What's the time in Kentucky? What's the time now in Kentucky?
Lunchtime.
Right now it is 1:16.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so, because you talked about getting meat on the table, so you're hunting whitetail deer there around?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I hunt whitetail deer. I hunt rabbit. I hunt squirrel. I hunt pretty much anything that I can, hunt. I try to, at least.
Sounds great. How do you prepare this grill?
How do I prepare the grill?
The squirrel. The squirrel.
Oh, the squirrel. I do it just like rabbit. I put some seasoning over the top, put it in a skillet, and then I try to make it fried and crispy too.
Okay,
squirrel is really good.
Yeah, I imagine, because they just feed nice things, no?
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, no, I try to hunt all year round. I try to keep my freezer full of wild game, or the chickens and the goats and stuff like that I have. That is for reserve, but I prefer to have wild game to eat on, other than like the stuff that you get from Walmart, the grocery stores and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nice way of living.
Very good. And the nice thing, when you are in a rural area, you only go out of the door and you're already in the wild, so you can go directly hunting. You don't have to drive 5 hours and go somewhere. You can hunt directly in your backyard, so to say.
If it's public land, no? If it's
of course,
land of the state.
Yeah, no, we can hunt on the private land. I open my back doors in the wintertime, and I'll sit there with a little heater. And if it's during gun season, I prefer to use a crossbow. The reason why I like crossbows and bows over guns and stuff like that is because of the noise. If you take, if you take a gun and you shoot it, deer won't come back for like 4 or 5 days. You know what I mean? But if you use like a crossbow during gun season, and if you use like a bow during, regular season and stuff like that, the deer will keep coming back day after day. So like within the first 2 weeks, I can fill up all my tags because the deer will keep coming back. And, you know, it's a lot quieter and it doesn't scare the whole herd away and stuff like that.
Sometimes you even can miss and they come back.
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah. I've done that. Yeah, they'll come back the same day.
Yeah. Because they don't realize what's going on. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. So the freezer is full and then you started, or you saw, who influenced you then, first of all, with Asiatic bows and with this fast shooting? How did you get to this?
Oh, man. It was a friend who sent me a Lars Anderson video. And they're like, dude, you've got to watch this. And I was like, I was sitting there and I was watching it on his little iPad at the time. And I was like, what is he doing with the bow? And I was like, is this real? And, you know, and like, it just took me by surprise. I was like, holy crap. And I was like, I never even knew that this was possible. And then in one of his videos, he said to put the arrow on the other side of the bow and to shoot fast. And then I watched how accurate he was doing that. And see, like, to me, where I was coming from, it was, you know, like 3-finger split. That was the only way that I would ever shoot. There was nothing else that was better than that. That is the most supreme way of shooting. But when I saw Lars Anderson,
this is like, what the 3 fingers always say.
It is.
Yeah.
The 3-finger pluggers always say that. Yes, of course.
Yes. No, it's still 3-finger means the world to me. I love that draw, just like all the draws.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there, I was watching Lars Anderson, and then I watched his other video, and then his other video, and then his Saracen video. I'm like, did he just do that at 68 meters? And I'm like, are you serious? This man just shot 3 arrows in 1.5 seconds at 68 meters, and he hit his target. He's like, oh, this isn't for accuracy. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I get out there, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to shoot on the other side of the bow. And I got the books that he told me to get, you know, like the Saracen archery books and stuff like that. And I was like, how did he understand this? You know, I'm sitting here trying to read because placing the arrow on the other side of the bow was just foreign. And then when I first shot, I remember my first shot, I lost that arrow. It went so far over to the right, it wasn't even funny. Yeah. And I remember sitting there watching Lars Anderson, and just then I recorded him, and then I slowed it down. And then I was like, okay, he did this, and that. And then, you know, that's what started. And then I eventually got to the point where I started watching your videos, Armin. And
but
then
I don't do fast shooting like Lars Anderson. I'm very slow compared to you guys.
I know, but I mean, like, there's so much information on shooting thumb draw and Slavic and stuff like that. And it just like really, it captivated me, and it just never stopped captivating me. And the information that I learned from you, the information that I learned from Mihai, and stuff that I learned from watching Lars Anderson videos, you know, I consider myself a student of all 3 of you guys. Definitely, you know, you guys are like a mentor towards me, to me, and stuff like that. And it just really blew my mind on what was possible with a bow, and that's never stopped. I'm like, okay. And then I was just thinking about like I was thinking about one of the things that Lars Anderson said in his video. Is my internet still fine?
It's okay.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, there's something just popped up on my screen. That we kind of rediscovered archery, you know, like in the last 100 or so years. And I'm like, yeah, at least for us in the West, you know, it's like a rediscovery. And then that really kind of shook me, because I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm like, man, I'll tell you what, we've only been doing, you know, archery for like the last 100 or so years after like the, you know, like the rediscovery of it or something like that. And we're already to the point where somebody can shoot 10 arrows in 4 seconds, Lars Anderson. And I'm like, what is the future going to be like for traditional archery? You know, and that's one of the things that captivated me. So that's the reason why I started shooting Mediterranean draw super fast, and you know, Slavic, and then you know, as well as thumb release.
Yeah, nice. And what you did, what I like is, because of course there is a lot of critics against Lars Andersen, what he's doing, and then some were blaming him that he doesn't come to full draw and he shoots only a 30-pound bow, so it's not going to work and it's stupid and there's no reason and no purpose and nothing for this kind of shooting. And you showed them that you can shoot with a 50 or 60-pound bow. What did you shoot? 50-pound bow? And you did draw 30 or 32 inches, so full draw with a 50-pound bow in the same speed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I also did it with a 75-pound bow,
70.
At least to the 75-pound mark. I did it with what is, you know, the Mediterranean, thumb, and Slavic. 3 arrows of 1.5 seconds for all of them. So
wow.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that you can't shoot fast using Mediterranean draw, or it's 3-finger draw. I shouldn't call it Mediterranean. We should give just one area, you know, like the fullness of that draw. We shouldn't say, you know, like that draw only came from one area, and we probably shouldn't call it Slavic. You know, that's from talking with you and Lars Andersen. You know, that's something that I learned. I was wrong for doing that. But yeah, sorry, I lost where I was at. I'm still kind of nervous, guys.
No, calm down, relax. I know you simply showed that even with 3 fingers, you can shoot a 75-pound bow, 3 arrows in 1.5 seconds. So that at least should shut up a few of the critics. They say you can't do it with a heavy bow, you can't do it with full draw. You draw your Korean bow 30-31 inches, and it's 50 pounds. So you show that it's possible. Of course, it needs a lot of practice and a lot of training, but then it's doable. So it's nothing that Lars is out of this world and does some magic. It's simply a matter of practice, and you are the best example for getting it done.
The best trainee, best trainee of Lars.
And then, of course, I tell you, Lars is shooting only 5 meters or 10 meters. And even there you show that you on 20, 30 meters can shoot 6.5 inch groups in 1.5 seconds. So, and that's
impressive.
Meters, fine by me. It takes everyone out on this distance. So I have no problem with that. So I know Lars since a while. So that's why I think it's possible. And you show that it's really possible. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Impressive stuff.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that comment. I appreciate that a lot. I have had a lot of critics, you know, like through when I first started dropping videos and stuff like that. They called me a washed up Lars Andersen wannabe at first. Then they said that I wasn't coming to full draw. And then, you know, that's one of the things I want to talk about is like, okay, what is full draw on a traditional bow? It's, you know, like if I have an arrow, I'm like, how much poundage do I want to put on the arrow is, you know, like, so if I want to take like a 60-pound bow and I only want to put 40 pounds on the arrow, I'm only going to draw it to right here. And I think, you know, in close range, 10 to 15 meters, that's good enough to kill anything. I mean, a 25-pound bow can take down a deer. So if I have like a 55-pound bow and I only draw it to right here, that's more than enough force at, you know, 10 to 20 meters, like I said, you know, to take down my prey or my target. So what is it that I have to come back to here every single time on a 60-pound bow?
Mack, this thing simply comes again from 3-finger shooters. They have the anchor point there,
not only
you can't shoot like this, or you can't shoot like this, like Lars Andersen showed, without any anchor point, and that freaks some people out.
The idea with the full draw, it doesn't matter where it is, if it's there or there, is you always have the same power on the bow, so your brain is able to build up a program, so you're hitting constantly. But if you're training a lot like you do, and you're shooting like we talked last time, like John Wayne, of course you can hit your target with drawing to here, and you have 40 pounded. and up to 15 meters, it's no problem with.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you're shooting long range, of course,
Yeah.
you need the full 60 pounds to get your target, and that's the idea behind. Because if you would draw shorter and longer and longer and shorter, so it would be like if you have a gun and different loaded cartridges. You understand? There's a lot of powder inside, and there's more, and there's little powder inside. So you shoot, and one bullet goes high, one deep, one etc.
Yeah, but with the cartridges, you don't know the feeling when you draw. You know what you're doing because you know, okay, my bow is now at 40 pounds, or I shoot it here, it's at 40, here it's at 50. Here
just a comparison. If you have different loads in your cartridges, you wouldn't be able to hit constantly at long range, for example, or even at short range sometimes. So that's the idea behind. But if you're a well-trained archer, of course, you can shoot like John Wayne, like from the hip. So and you will hit your target, in my opinion, of course.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's a second aspect to this. If you're teaching someone how to shoot, you have to teach him, you have to draw to here or somewhere, because you can't say, oh, draw just as you like it and you will hit your target. So that stems.
I agree fully. When you teach someone, first make sure that he gets a proper form.
Yeah.
And then once this is settled, you can change it to whatever you like, but you need to have the base.
And
otherwise it's really complicated.
And that's where this comes from, because you have to tell your student a kind of draw technique, and he had to repeat that, because just if you do this, you are later able to shoot from the hip, so to say.
Yeah.
Because then you know the capability of your bow, of your equipment, and so on. If you do it very constantly, and then you can do everything.
Yeah. That's one thing that I actually do with my students and stuff like that. That's one thing that how I learned is that, you know, like you come back to a certain amount, to a certain draw and stuff like that every single time. And then everything has to be 100% perfect for like 1,000, 2,000 shots or something like that. Obviously, while I was learning it, you know, like even just to hold the bow the right way, it took me probably 4,000 shots. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm going to hold it this way. And then I hold it this way for like 500 or 600 shots. And I'm like, oh, you know, and then I'm going to hold it like this. And now I'm going to hold it like this. Now I have the way. So now it's going to be 1,000 shots just with that. And then it's going to be like different anchor points and stuff like that. And then, you know, like going fast, it was a long process for me. It wasn't just something that I just picked up and did at first. And I did a lot of what Peter is saying, is to go the same exact every single time, you know, because consistency is everything in archery.
With 3-finger shooting, if you're shooting that, what they call traditional style or instinctive style, or how they call it, I don't know. If you do it the right way, you exactly have the arrow beneath your right eye, your leading eye. So that's a lot like combat shooting with a pistol or gun with a shotgun or so. So it's easier if you do it correctly. Of course, if you draw like that, like the Eastern guys here, back there, if you train it a lot, it will also work. But you have no indicator how far is your draw, how far you draw, and if you're like that or like that, and so there is one time left and right and so on. So it's kind of easier to shoot with a fixed anchor, and you have the arrow beneath your eye, in my opinion.
This is one way, of course, to do it, but in Asian archery, you have the arrow somewhere, so you feel it. Or I have my anchor point here. And then when you don't know, when you draw like a Manchu bow or something, then in Asian archery, it's always the tip of the arrow. When it reaches your finger, whatever you are, then you know, okay, I reached now full draw, I can let go. But this is only when you shoot long distance that you need to reach full draw. And I mean, even in Asian archery, the principle of training was you don't shoot the target first, you first learn how to get the maximum out of your bow. And once you know what your bow is doing, you start shooting at the target. But you get your bow and know your bow.
Let me say one thing, because you can't do it in your archery school, and I also can't do it. But
exactly.
when I had the opportunity, sometimes I did it and said, okay, we don't shoot at the target, we shoot at the big meadow and just shoot as far as you can. So you have an imagine, you see and imagine what the arrow is doing, how it's flying and so on. Yeah. That's a good idea, in my opinion, because you get a feeling for the arrow.
Yeah. But of course, we don't have the space here. We need to move to Kentucky or Illinois.
Yeah. You go get down on 20 acres and just shoot at hail base. Yeah. Bales of hay just way out.
Fully okay.
Distance. Yeah. No, when I first started and stuff like that, I switched everything over from like thumb draw and Slavic, and I just switched it over to what I was already doing with 3-finger draw, you know, like right here or like up here. At that time, I was shooting like level with my eyes and stuff like that. And mainly where I felt it at was in my back muscles. Like once my back reached a certain point, that's when I knew I'm like, okay, now it's time to release. You know, if I go any further, I'm gonna have muscle cramps tomorrow morning. I don't want to do that. But yeah, that's one of the ways that I did it. So I just switched everything over, and I was really surprised on how well everything switched over, even from like Slavic to like Mediterranean draw. It's just a thing with your eyes, you know, and that's that was like the hardest thing. Once the thing switched over with your eyes, then you could switch back and forth pretty easily. You know what I mean? So,
and you have to train. In my opinion, you have, if you, let's say it like that, if you have trained one of these different ways a lot, then it's relatively easy to switch, because you know what the arrow is doing, what the bow is doing, and so on. So if you would begin and switching the techniques all the time, you wouldn't.
You have nothing where you program your brain properly.
Yeah.
This is what I tell people here. Usually we start 3 fingers, and then, oh, but I see you shooting in the videos. Somebody's, can you show me? In the 3rd hour, he comes and listen, first settle with 3-finger draw, and once you manage this in a decent way, switch to something else, but don't mix in the beginning all styles, because it's really, it confuses your subconsciousness, and it's a harder, longer way to get something, to achieve something properly. And settle first one. It's like with every martial art, you know, I am a Tai Chi guy. You know, I know now one style, Yang style Tai Chi. For me, it's relatively easy to pick up another Tai Chi style. They're different, but because I know one, applying it to another one is relatively easy. If I would know nothing about Tai Chi, and now I start Yang, and now I do Wudang, and now I do Chen, and then
you fuck up your brain if you do this. Sorry for
it's fine. YouTube will kick us out for this one time. Let's hope so. Let's just start it with conspiracy theories today, otherwise YouTube will kick us.
Oh, let me ask, Mike, what is your favorite conspiracy theory?
That there is a new world order, and they plan to enslave most of the world and kill off the other ones that they can't enslave.
But that's not the theory and not the conspiracy. No, we talk about because my problem is almost all my conspiracy theories are not the truth, so I need to find some new ones.
But why they like to do it?
Because the people at the top are evil. They're evil. They're pure evil. That's the conspiracy that they're evil.
But if you think about, I say just one example, let's say George Soros or Bill Gates or the Rothschilds or anyone. They have money enough, so they don't. Why should they enslave me if they have money enough?
Because
if I'm a slave, I can't buy their shit.
The world's resources.
The thing is, when you listen to Bill Gates,
they already have them.
He wants to have this depopulation for climate change, because one of the biggest threats they think are the human to the planet. So we need to reduce human. Because they think, and this is nothing new, that 3 billion people is what the earth can handle. This is what they thought. They sit around a coffee table and they have whatever, some whiskey, and then they, We have money enough. What shall we do? But, you know, listen, I think we have too many people. Right? I think, yes, you're right. I think 3 billion people is enough. Okay, how could we do this? Now let's try it with war. Okay, then we fight wars and we kill a few thousand, a few 100,000. But it's not enough because in the other side, we have way more population. Population is still growing. So wars is not the solution. So we need to find something else. And I posted a few days ago, you know, what's his name again? The conspiracy theorist, Jesse Ventura. But awesome guy. I don't like this guy, but he 11 years ago he brought it with an interview of some doctor. She left America and went to Panama, and
with Alex Jones.
She said exactly what is going to happen. They will come with a pandemic. They will come with Mack's vaccination because they want to, because it's their plan, because they have. I mean, why is Soros going into not Soros, the other one? The Amazon guy.
Jeff Bezos.
Why does he build a rocket ship and flies into space? Because he can. Because he is bored of his life.
So he don't need more slaves because he already can fly to space.
The thing, there is never enough for them.
No, that's sickening. There's never enough for them. They're never content.
If you have 1 million slaves, hey, look, I have now already 2 million. Oh, wait a second. Next year I have 3 million. It's simply, and I know this game in a smaller scale. I was working for a guy. He has a chocolate company. He builds really good makes really good chocolate. And then I started doing this Chinese tea ceremony there. And then I sometimes heard him, you know, I was sitting with my friends. They are business owners too. And, you know, and then we simply checked and I said, listen, I got now a few of these bakery shops. And you know what I do? I sell everything 50% lower than all the other bakery shops in the village until they all close. And then, oh, look, I made 150,000 this year. You know, for them, it's simply a play because they can.
You're a communist.
No, I'm a surrealist by heart. Nothing to say about
If I understand your point. I mean, because if they have some billions or millions for backup, they can make this game with the bakeries and don't get any for 2 years. They can play the game and
they have money enough.
But that's not illegal.
And then no, of course it's not illegal. And when you see that our monetary system is screwed up since a few decades now, and that they print money and it has no value anymore, and of course they are afraid that this bubble will explode. So that's why they changed the monetary system. And in 10 years or 9 years, we don't have cash money anymore. We only have.
That's what Klaus Schwab has come up and said multiple times. Klaus Schwab, I think his name is. Yeah, that's the same thing that he comes out and says. And the science that they have is absolute bullcrap. I mean, like, they say that there's not enough room for everyone on this earth.
That's bullshit.
Yes, it is. Because if you take down the acres of the world and you break it down to the population of the world, we could all own 19 acres. And all you need is 2 acres. And then if we use the other parts of the world to help out other parts of the world, we would be self-sustaining on our own 19 acres. And you want to talk about climate change.
Mack, you're right. Mack, you're right. And I totally agree. But we once we did this idea game, if you do this, every person on Earth, on the world will get 19 acres. Okay, like you said. And also you divide all the gold and the money and everything. Every person on Earth will get exactly the same amount of acres of land. Okay. What do you think would be in 50 years later?
It's already
the same exact situation.
Same like now. Because
the same exact situation.
Yeah, because one guy will lay around all the day long and will sell his acres to his neighbor, and his neighbor is a busy guy and making the. So it's the kind of, you don't need a conspiracy to get to the point where we are.
That's why we always had in longer time periods what they call the Great Reset, because they couldn't handle it anymore. And now we're at the point in their thinking that we need to reset again.
And in the past, these resets were big wars.
Yes, mostly, or at least came with a big war, because they needed
nobody
something.
dares to make a really big war,
and the war now is the war on vaccine, the war on virus,
and climate change.
And climate change is the next one. They prepare already everything for the climate change once this COVID stuff is flattening down, because people get bored of it. I mean, there are still people that really believe it's such a deadly virus and kills everyone. I still didn't see one, but it doesn't matter. But they prepare already everything for the climate change later. Restrictions, travel restrictions. And then when we have the digital currency, you know, then we get this minimum wage every month, but they tell you what you have to buy with it, and then they really own you.
But let me say one more thing. But we can relax. You know why? Because if you say this with the currency and with the money and so on, they can't do it, because if at the moment they forbid money, paper money or something,
it's coming.
The people will start to do a different thing.
Yeah.
You know, so there are a lot of conspiracies, but most of them don't work. You see it now with the vaccinations. They like to get everyone vaccinated, but there are a lot of people saying, not me. Do what you want, but not me.
Yeah.
And so
they have an idea, but to roll it out needs some capable people, but they have only capable people in charge.
And then you are at their kind of how they plan these things. They plan it on the board and with calculations and so. But there are too many variables in these calculations. They don't know. So the same with climate change. If everything is going like that and that and that, then in some years the climate will be like that. Or with the pandemic is the same. But no, not one of their calculations was true.
Yep.
Not one.
Of course not.
Yeah. Nothing that they say is ever true. Comes to find out. Anything that they say on TV, it's I can consider it a lie. Actually, to be honest with you, I've gotten to the point where I don't watch TV anymore. I'm over it, because it's television. They tell you
a story. They want you to, of course. And it's nothing new. I told one, programming. I'm not sure if I told you once in the show. It was 1980 something when they built in Bavaria, in Wackersdorf, for the nuclear material that they can Wiederaufbereitungsanlage. So they want
recycle.
They're a factory where they recycle nuclear whatever elements. And then there was a big fence around. And then every weekend, my brother on Sunday afternoon, they went there to this fence and they had a beer and blah, 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 drank another beer, and then they went home. And in the evening, in the German television, in the news, big demonstration here on the fence, and we had helicopters and water throwers and stuff. And my brother was sitting there and said, wait a second, I was there this afternoon. It's not true. And this 1986 or what it was, and that made me think about. And then, of course, once you widen, you put away these things that the horses have. How do you call them? Scheuklappen. Once you widen them,
blinders.
Then you so much more, and you can't go back to this, because you smell this crap coming from them. You start smelling it, you start sensing it.
I like to say this. Once you're red-pilled, once you're aware of this shit, what I want to say is I'm still looking television just on my laptop, not with a television. I don't have a TV. Not with a TV. But you have to watch it, because, in my opinion, because only then I understand the world.
I
see what are they thinking, what are they promoting, what are they entertaining, what are they saying.
You see it differently, you perceive it differently, and it's all
you don't believe it, but you get the information your neighbor is having.
Exactly.
And so you understand your neighbor, so you will not be a radical crazy guy, but you see, okay, of course, if everyone but you can't judge your neighbor if he's just looking, Mack in Germany and in Austria. we have government television. We have free television too, you know, private, but we have special outlets, news outlets. They are paid, they are owned by the government.
Yes, and you need to pay them, and you need to pay for it every month.
And every citizen pays for it a tax for receiving the propaganda. It's crazy, like shit.
Pay for the propaganda. I know in old times they put speakers into the cities, and then they made their propaganda speeches through the speakers. Now you need to pay 20-30 euros a month that you get this bullcrap on your TV.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I guess America does it the same way. They just do it in a much nicer,
smarter way. You don't see that you're screwed.
Directly. We don't see that the news corporations, all of them are run by only 3 different companies, you know, through other companies. You know what I mean?
Let me just go back to that, because I wanted to say, if your neighbor is just watching that government television and reading all the same newspapers, so you can't judge them. You are crazy. You're an idiot. Because not every person has the time to watch different outlets and different news and stir up the internet to find some information and so on. So if they say, "Oh, my neighbor is crazy. He thinks they all like to get us vaccinated 2 years ago." So of course they're not bad people, but they don't invest as much of their brains, of their mind into what's really going on. And so they're on the rail.
But maybe they should. Or
of course they should.
Or of course we don't deserve it better.
Yes, I agree with that.
I mean, of course it affects me then too. When the majority of sheeple runs down this cliff, they will push me too down this cliff, and I have to deal. I have to live with it, even if I know it's the wrong way. But they, in one moment, they will. Can't do anything.
I always say,
I agree with that 100%.
I always say when I hear about the corona story and also about the climate change story, and the standard phrase is, all the scientists agree on that. And then I say, and all the people agreed on burning witches some years back then, and guessing the Jews, they all agreed about it.
It's not that long ago.
You know what? And you know, one thing that I would like to know, I would like to know the scientists who agree with this. I would like to know where they're getting their money from.
Yeah, of course.
Because if you follow the money,
and you see it. It was always like this, and it will never change.
Whenever a scientist agrees on something, just say that if a scientist agrees upon the vaccination, or if they disagree with it, well, you don't hear too many scientists doing that. You hear people getting banned for that, but you don't hear scientists for that. But I would like to see where they're getting their money from, because all the ones that we researched over here on my farm, that they all come, it's all coming from like the same companies ran by who? Bill Gates. Through sub companies. He has companies that are sub companies that are paying these people to come up with this miraculous decision on their own.
But there's a more difficult aspect to this, and because all the scientists and the hosts in the television shows and so on, they are not evil people. They're not evil. They not like to do evil, but my excuse for them is always, everyone just lives one time. So if they say, okay, you get 20 grand a month and you are doing this scientist job, you're looking at the climate, how it's changing, and so and we know it's changing, and so, but you get a good job at a university. Oh, you need a house too in the car? No problem. You have to be a saint not to agree with their agenda and so on. So it's very easy to judge them, because they are people like you and me. You understand? They are not just evil. They do their thing, and they walk through their life. And if his path is, oh, I'm the climate pope, okay, so, or the vaccination pope, they all have jobs, and they all have families, and they all have
make a living,
people that they and you know, like one of the things I say is that I can get a team of scientists for $500,000. I can get a team of scientists to say, you know, that like eggs are healthy for you. And for $500,000, I can get another group of scientists to tell me how bad it is for me.
You know,
actually, to be honest with you, I just need a $300 computer and look it up on Google. I mean, because there's already scientists on both sides of that. You know, it just depends on who they're getting paid by. And they got families, they got cars, they got bills, they got stuff, they got everything like that.
And Mack, in the United States, you had the best example with back then with the tobacco industry. They hired scientists, and because the opponents of the tobacco guys, they said tobacco and smoking will cause cancer. So then
those are the conspiracy theorists.
And the tobacco industry hired universities and scientists, and they digged around and said, oh, if you're smelling on a dandelion, it will cause cancer. If you eat too much pork meat, it causes cancer. So they kind of thinned out, or how you call it, I don't know. You can get cancer from everything, not just from tobacco. And or this campaign, the bacon for breakfast or ham for breakfast in the United States. It was, how was this guy called, Barnum? Or they made or to get the women to smoke. They made a propaganda with scientists and infiltrated the feminists. So smoking for women was like you're a new kind of women. You're self.
In the 1950s and 60s.
Yes.
The doctors would prescribe cigarettes to pregnant women, saying that it would help them with stress. I mean, like it's because the scientists and the doctors,
and you know
by the companies.
And in Austrian television, the boss of the Austrian doctor chamber or so, every year there are 30,000 people dying in Austria from smoking. Where is the evidence? Where's the evidence? Of course, if you are smoking 100 cigarettes a day, it's not healthy. But what if you smoke 5 cigarettes a day?
I had a
so you can get cancer from everything. If I drink a big box of beer every day, it's not healthy. If I drink one beer a day,
it's like Paracelsus said, and everything is poison. It depends on the amount,
on the dose. Of course,
I agree with that 100%.
And the same is,
you don't overdo anything.
And the same is with sugar. Of course, sugar is bad if you eat a lot. If you drink 4 liters of Coca-Cola every day, it's not healthy. But sugar is not bad, and fat is not bad. If you're eating not stupid amounts, everything is okay. But the best diet is meat, Mack.
Yes.
Freshly
wild, organic, pure meat. Yes. And
this
wild vegetables.
Jordan Peterson, you know him?
I watch a lot of Jordan Peterson.
His daughter had some kind of illness, I don't know what, and she started with a just meat diet, only meat, and then he also did it, and they say that they feel much better with eating
stronger.
Only meat.
I think it depends on the quality of the meat, because most people, they go in a supermarket and they get this cheap crap where you said just before there is you barely find meat in the meat, or they go to McDonald's and eat a hamburger for $1 and they think there's real meat in it. You know, and then they consider this as meat. Of course, like I said once, when Ted Nugent, you know, Ted Nugent, this musician, he goes shooting in his own forest, and he shoots and says, you know, this is the best
Mack.
food because I know what they eat, and this is pure from nature. This is the best what I
like
can.
Byron Ferguson also. Yeah.
So that's why then I can agree on that. But of course, meat is not meat. And when you see, then again, conspiracy, you see what Bill Gates is doing. He buys land.
And artificial
don't
meat.
Get me started on that. Yes, he's been buying every farm.
Artificial meat, artificial food for artificial people.
Yeah, made with roaches and bugs and different stuff like that. That's what they're trying to promote
that's not bad.
Here.
Insect food is not bad per se. It's quite
it's shit. How would you eat an insect?
Why not? You go to Bangkok and the street market, you find them all on the skewer, and you get nice. Good protein.
Yes. The smallest insects I'm eating are shrimps.
This is, you know, that this is a family of cockroaches, so you can eat cockroaches too. It's the same, less shrimps. The shrimp is the underwater cockroach.
Yes, I know.
But
so now you don't want to eat it anymore.
No, I don't. No more shrimp for me. No.
Yeah.
No,
I never liked shrimp.
I'll still eat it. I'll still eat it. Just like, you know, like one time I had, I think it was a cricket soup or something like that. I had an old lady make it for me.
Yeah.
Wasn't the best thing to eat, and the texture was really weird, but hey, it was a good source of protein.
We are not used to it.
Here, just eat this.
There was once in Germany.
But you can easily become used to that.
Rüdiger Neberg, he was a survivalist, and he simply did this thing. He went without anything. He was walking through whole Germany, and only what the street or what the forest was providing, he was eating. So he found.
You know what he mostly eat? I know this street kill.
Yeah, street kill. He found a rabbit.
Rabbits.
Yeah. He ate this one. He didn't find anything, so he picked up some worms. He ate the worms or whatever.
So, for the television, he did.
Yeah, but he made a point. He simply made a point.
Yeah,
like in the Crocodile Dundee movie, you know, when Paul Hogan is preparing something for this female reporter, some worms, I don't remember, and gave it to her, and she looked at it, and he opened a canned food for him to eat. I don't like it, but that's really natural food here.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is how it's going. Shall we talk about the knife of the week?
I think Mack is frozen.
Mack is frozen. Mack, if you still hear us, you need to unlock and log in again. You're frozen. He's too excited. He's frozen now in excitement.
Yes, not his internet is frozen, but
he's frozen. Yeah, internet is fine.
Okay, I accidentally muted myself. All right.
Yeah, that's fine. Can happen. Look at Peter. He's chasing his cat. His cat is always tearing down the curtain.
I got a little baby killer right here.
Oh, no, he shows off with his cat, of course. Yeah.
I actually own 20 different kittens right now because cats are psychopathic killers, and they're great for the farm.
Okay, of course. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, they keep away all the birds, all the mice, all the little rodents that like to get into stuff.
He just showed us his cat. He has a cat too. 20.
Also, I have to catch mine too.
It's fine.
Wow, lovely.
Now, come on. You show us yours when you put the hat on.
And that's her mama right there.
Yeah, lovely.
Cats. So now scare them a bit with the knife of the week. I was just asking, but then I think you are frozen. If we should switch the topic and come back to what we usually do. Knife of the week.
All right, knife of the week.
Show us.
All right, the knife of the week. I'm going to go with my sword.
Something small, I see. Yeah, something handy.
Wow, wow.
Is it a Zweihander, a two-handed one? No.
Yes, it's a hand and a half. It's a cold steel hand and a half sword.
Wow.
I was wanting one of these for a very, very long time, and my wife got it for me for Father's Day 1 year.
Wow.
And this is one of my favorite, most favorite swords that I own right here.
Yeah. Did you hack and slay something already? It's like a hay bale or something, or bought water or something?
Yeah, no, I went out there and I chopped down some small trees with it. And it works very well. I'm very impressed with cold steel.
Yeah, they have.
I was wondering. Yeah, cold steel is absolutely phenomenal. So, very strong blades.
And also not too expensive. It's kind of most products are not too expensive
for what they are, for the quality. Fine.
Yeah. That sword right there is something that I could probably hand down to my grandchildren for the way it's made, and it only costs like a couple $100, a little over a couple $100.
That's a nice blade.
Interesting.
And it's sharp, so you can.
Oh yes.
Sharp.
Oh yeah.
I have a sword too, and you really can hear the sound when you make this.
Yes.
That's
wow. That's fetishist stuff.
Yeah.
Nice.
We had a kind of maybe you know it. How was it in English? It's Valiant Prince. I think in German it's Prinz Eisenherz. And his sword was the singing sword because it made a nice sound when he swung the sword.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know that Prinz Eisenherz? Yes.
I know. I heard of it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not my kind of stories.
So what's your knife, Armin?
My knife is a throwing knife today from Ace Chat. It's from Adam Cheladin. I don't know if you know this guy. He is world champion in throwing. And this is the Excalibur. It's 8 millimeters.
Wow, looks heavy.
Weighs 240 grams, is 9.5 inches long, and it's just like it's made for Adam because he has this this throwing method, no spin, works and just fine.
It is slightly bent.
No, it's straight, completely straight.
No, not like it's straight. Okay.
Yeah, it's straight. Okay. But I like it. What I like recently is the military half spin. You grab it like this and you throw it in half spin to whatever target distance you want. Up to 4 meters, I manage quite nicely. And this is so heavy. So even in hardwood, when you see the tip is not really pointy, it's only on two sides, but it's 4 millimeter there. But it hits everything and it simply sticks in everything. So these are insane. But one of these is $100. So when you have a set of 3, then it's $250 or something. But they are just insane. They are just
and it doesn't matter if you hit with the handle or the point. If you get hit by it,
when you get hit with this one, you don't ask any questions anymore. But I like throwing blades. So this is really something heavy.
Looks very nice.
And I like the design, because I like the stagger style. First of all, they have different designs, a lot of designs, and with the small finger guard there. So I like this shape. That's why. And Adam was so nice. He asked me once if he can send me a set, and I said, "Oh my God, it's $250," and he sent me 3 of them, and I did a video. But I'm not that good in throwing, and I need to clean them because here with the humidity they get a little rusty again. So. But that's my knife of the week.
That's nice.
So now
those knives last for a long time, though, don't they?
Yeah, this spring steel, you have it. Yeah. You can give it to your grandchildren.
Yeah.
I'm a kind of tame guy compared to your martial arts.
Yeah. Because you told me that this is not a blade, last time when I showed my small unboxing knife.
I like to show the knife of the week today, which is a very, very typical Austrian knife.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very simple folding knife. And there's a kind of rifle engraved. It was, it's the first knife a German boy gets. When you're a little boy Austrian boy with 6 years or so, back then we had these, and we were very proud of it. You can, carve with it, or how do you carve?
Carve something.
And it's very simple, and you can, cut your bacon and so on. And it's not a fixable blade.
Of course, no.
Just like that. And the logic follow up to this are these Opinel knives. You know this, you know them, Mack?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
and these are cheap. They're dirt cheap. They cost 13 euros.
And you can fix the blade, you know. Fix the blade, and they are available in all sizes. Yeah. And this one is with lame steel, also not it rusts and it gets horrible dark and so on. I polished it to show it to you. But this is one of my favorite lunch knives and so on, or even for cooking. I love to use it to cut onions and so on.
And so, they have the same then with a saw blade in front, that you have a small saw with you when you go.
And I don't know, there's a kind of secret. I got this one from an old colonel, an Austrian colonel, and he's a kind of knife fetishist too. And there's because these are made in France, and they call it the coup de Savoy.
Means?
It means you can't open these open nails with one hand. You can't.
It's a two-hand.
Or usually. But they have a method I just using here. I think that's better. If you push if you make it like that,
don't break your strap.
The blade comes out, and so you can open it with one hand if you have any device or so. There's a story, a French Air Force pilot had one of these, and one of his arms was wounded or so, and so he opened the knife like that. He put
you smash it against the head.
Yes, and open it and could get him free from the plane and so.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, interesting.
How do you sharpen your blades, guys? What do you use for sharpening your blades?
I cheat. I cheat. I have a little contraption to where I can just run the blades across. And
it's not cheating. It's not cheating. I use this one here, you know. You have you put your metal rods in or your ceramic rods.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And then you run the blade down here, down here, down here, down here. And the
Where
same
did you get that?
It works just fine. And you have 25 and 20 degree angles, so it depends which knife you have. And it's more pocketable, transportable, so I like it.
Oh, I need that. Where'd you get that?
It's a Lansky, but they have better ones. You need to check. I got it on Amazon, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to buy one of those.
Wooden box, get off nice. And then in here you have these are the ceramic ones. You can put them and you really fine your kind of very fine grit. It's really cool.
How big is it in comparison to the size of your hand? Because that could go great in my backpack.
Oh, it's small, yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I got like a little backpack that I always wear whenever I'm going out into the woods, or if I'm going to go out and be in the woods for like a day or two at a time. And that would be perfect just to throw in the backpack.
You get the angle right. I got once a set in America. You can have the set. It's like business card sizes, sharpeners, and then they are from coarse to very fine. But then I think I gave it to someone, because for me, always getting the angle right is more important than. I don't like a whetstone, and you need to you get the angle right. It's not for me. Something for Peter.
Yeah. We talked a little before, when I have a really dull knife, I'm using a little file, the same I'm using on my broadheads to sharpen them.
Yeah.
That's kind of file I would also carry on or in my quiver when I go out hunting, bow hunting. And I also have a kind of Lansky set. It's not so handy like his. You have here kind of vise. You put the blade in, and then you have different coarse stones, and you have to put them on this wire, so you got the right angle and so on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a kind of more sophisticated thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And what I also use is kind of diamond whetstones. I like them. different
Yep.
kind. That small ones are really nice for using in the field, also for broadhead sharpening and so on.
Makes sense.
And the sharpening steel, a small one. If
that's what I have in my bag right now.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
If it's not too dull, you can resharpen it.
Usually you go out with a sharp blade, so you only fix a little, maybe something.
But if you have killed 3 bears, you have to resharpen it.
Yeah.
But you need to get the first bear home, so first. And
or some kind of whetstones to making.
I like it when you see the Japanese knife makers on the whetstone, and then they it's like mesmerizing, but it's not for me.
It's too much. I like just to run the blades across real quick, especially when I'm if I get like a deer or something like that, or something, and I'm chopping the animal up, you know what I mean? Because I'll try to get in the freezer as fast as possible, or in the refrigerator as fast as possible. I'll just sit there and I'll just run the blades across real quick, and then it stays sharp throughout the whole process.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
Yeah,
cool, interesting. I mean, it's it's as important as a good blade is a good sharpening system you have. Because what you do, I mean, I have a few knives and I use them a lot, and they still have a sharp blade like day one. But others, it depends on the steel. Like this one, I don't have it that long, but it's already blunt again. So this one needs already resharpening. So this is one of my everyday carry, but this one needs to be sharpened, whatever, every 8 weeks or something. So that's why a good sharpening system is important.
And we talked about it before. It's a kind of sensual experience. If you have a really nice sharp knife and blade and cutting through stuff, even onions or meat and everything, it's a kind of nice feeling.
When you cut through a bit soft tomato and it simply glides through like nothing. You squish the tomato and it looks like a mess. And it's always the tool, it's always the quality of your tool which defines the quality of your work.
And it's more fun if you cook with a really nice sharp knife. Everything you cut is fun. You had a nice experience if you cut it.
Exactly. At least accidents happen with dull knives because you need to apply way more pressure, and then you slip.
And then if you cut yourself, it's more of a tear and not just a clean cut.
You
definitely want to have a sharp blade. I'd rather get cut by a sharp one than a dull one any day of the week. I've done both.
There are also 2 opinions on broadhead sharpening. You know, some say you just need the file to sharpen them with a file, and then put the burr. How do you call it? Erect the burr. So the burr, for one time, it cuts very nice. And the others say you have to sharpen them like a knife. I think both schools are right in their way.
I think if it's really sharp one time, and then it does the job.
And the other guys say just sharpen them with a coarse file and make a nice like a serrated edge. If you make a burr on it with the file.
I don't know. I don't hunt, so I can't tell. Which hunting blades do you use, Mack?
I use the cheapest ones possible. I buy the cheapest ones on Amazon as long as it's the right weight. I just go by the weight of it. I buy one as soon as I shoot the broadhead. As soon as I shoot it, it's done. I change it out. I want to get into learning how to sharpen them the right way and stuff like that. So if you wouldn't mind, like one day I would like to learn how to sharpen broadheads, Peter. That would be absolutely amazing. So I can reuse them. But as of right now, I buy the cheapest ones I can get, and because I want to have the cleanest kill. And as soon as they come off of the printing press, they are ready to go. And so I use some that I buy. So I buy like a 36 pack for like $30. 4 or 5 of them I will practice with, so I have that precision that I love to have. And then the rest of them, it's just like, okay, I'm not going to touch these unless I shoot them, and then I only shoot them one time. So if I miss, I don't use that broadhead again. I use another one from the package. You know what I mean?
And so these are three-bladed screw-ins?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Three-bladed screw-ins.
And you're using carbon arrows?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I find that carbon arrows, for me at least, I have the most accuracy with carbon arrows when everything is weighted right. So I prefer to go with that. And then, you know, like I live in a very humid area, so wood arrows can rot real fast. You know what I mean? I don't have air conditioning in my house, you know, nothing like that. I prefer to have to be as off of grid as possible in my home. You know what I mean? So, you know, like my arrows, they can spoil real fast, but carbon arrows, they last forever. You know, I even find carbon arrows that I've shot and I've lost, and I'm like, oh, hey, it's still good, you know, and it's been 6 months outside and it's still 100% fine. I can't do that with wooden arrows. So, you know what I mean? That's what I prefer.
The other thing would be aluminum arrows. These are nice too. Yeah. But I guess they are more expensive nowadays because they're not so common, because they're making lots and lots and lots of carbon arrows, so they are cheaper than aluminum arrows, I think.
Yeah. Which one lasts longer out of carbon and aluminum? I've never shot aluminum arrows, so
when you shoot an aluminum arrow against something hard, it will not break, but it might bend slightly. This is what happened to a few aluminum arrows I had.
Yeah,
they start bending and then you can throw them away. If you shoot the same with the carbon, most probably carbon will explode. I don't know. So that's why I can't tell. It simply depends. The benefit, I think, of aluminum, they are heavier than carbon arrows. So you don't need to have that heavy, or you get the FOC easier, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong. Others hunt only with cedar shafts. The others hunt with aluminum. It's fine. Everything's fine.
I think shooting with aluminum arrows while I'm doing Mediterranean draw, while I'm going super fast, would be a lot better, because one of the things that I ran into while shooting quickly using the Mediterranean draw was that the string, especially on a heavy bow, if it smacks the side of that carbon arrow, it can put fractures.
Fibers.
You know what I mean? And that's one reason why I tell my students to, like, okay, we're only going to shoot these two styles and not these other ones, because I haven't found a way to really do it without potentially cracking the side of the arrow, and you know, like, and that could cause really dangerous.
Yeah, that's the thing with in comparison to the aluminum arrows, carbon arrows are kind of more dangerous.
Yes,
there can be one fiber or so. You can really have bad wounds from this.
Oh, tell me! I still have a little carbon in my hand.
yeah, and it can't happen with an aluminum arrow.
Yeah, it can happen with wood as well.
Yes, of course, but it's not so dangerous as carbon. I had very small fibers. They went in on the back of my hand, and in the front they pointed out two of these long fibers, and the other one got stuck behind the bone and made them some kind of loop, and I had to open then the back of my hand and get this thing out. And then a little piece broke, and it always pointed out in front, so I always could feel here something scratching inside. And then one day I didn't think about it, I was punching a drywall, and I was like, oh, it's not scratching anymore, but then it was scratching on the back, so I pushed it back. But it's still in there something, but my body took care of it, encapsulated it, and it's fine. I hope. I'm a cyclist, I don't know.
A good idea with carbon arrows is, before you shoot them, before you start shooting a session, bend them and turn them a little, and so you will hear if there's something wrong. If they're making any sound, put them away.
Get them away.
That's
true. Interesting talk. It's fun to talk to you, Mack.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. It's great to talk to you guys too. You know, do we have any time for questions?
And he didn't even ask one question yet.
Yeah.
It's okay. Go ahead. How many questions do you have?
Altogether, I have like 22 questions.
Okay, let me do a handful today.
Okay.
Or if they're easy to answer, then we see.
Okay. So here, my sound cut out for a second. What did you just say about?
Simply go ahead to ask your questions.
Okay. All right. Who do you guys consider as master archers?
As what?
That as master archers. Somebody, archers. Yeah, that has mastered their style of archery, and it's somebody that you look up to.
Peter. Now for me, it's guys like Byron Ferguson, even like Cody Lee we had in the show, Mihai Kosmai, in his way, what he's doing, I love, because he's like the Bruce Lee of archery. He combines everything possible in archery and did his own thing out of it. So it's not, it's not historically correct, and but it's this way how it works for him, and physically from a martial arts standpoint, it's the right way to do it. So that's why I consider him a master in his style. And then, of course, all the old ones, Howard Hill, and they were all masters in archery. And so it's, even you are already very close to it, Mac.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's one of the greatest compliments I received. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I would agree on that one, because when I am watching your videos and what you're telling us, and because you're connected to Earth, you're hunting also, you're not just talking about combat situations and stuff like that, but you're really an archer, a hunter too. I would put you into that bunch. But of course, I'm a Western guy, Howard Hill, and Byron Ferguson, of course, and also that young guy from Georgia, James Jean.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I forgot him. The trick archer. You saw videos of him, James Jean?
Yes, yes.
He's amazing. Amazing. No, yeah.
In his field, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I love watching his videos.
I said you. There's no reason to make any more trick shooting video clip, because you can't beat that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, on the other side, you need to see when it's about knockless archery, I consider Jeff really good.
Yeah, of course.
And he mastered this skill because he didn't do anything else, and it's about mastering a skill.
Yeah.
He does a very specific skill, and in this, he is really, I think, better than anyone else out there right now with knockless arrows.
And, you know, we talked about it before. I'm not the biggest fan of Lars Andersen because of some of his statements and so. But on the other hand, he had a lot of neat influence into the archery world and into guys, and like you started doing his style, and you developed your own stuff and things. So he's a great guy too, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I forgot now, of course, a lot. So there are way more.
Yeah.
Even Justin Marr, book The Way of Archery.
How was the name? I also like Randy Oitka. He's a guy who's shooting with the compound bow, a lot of arrows at once, and so. Or
Murat Özveri is a master, in my opinion. What he does in Turkish archery is you know, you can't beat that. Yeah. And he's even then this knowledge
kind of scientist. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why. Yeah. Good. What are you now? You ask.
I think you two guys are master archers, and I believe Mihai and Lars. You know, I look up to all of you guys, and I consider you guys mentors. You know, I've talked to Mihai, I've talked to you, Armin, many times. And I've talked to you, Steve, and I've watched tons of your videos, slow mode it, and I'm like, okay, he's doing this like this. This is awesome. This is something that I can incorporate in. This is something that I can pass on to somebody else, you know. I don't look at myself as an archery teacher per se. I'm just like, here, learn from all my mistakes, you know, more like, you know, because it's kind of more like of a relaxed environment and stuff like that. And then but one of the things that I noticed, you know, like from you guys is that after talking to Lars, Mihai, and you, Armin, and Steve, even you too, it's all about you guys automatically talk about the inner side first. You know, when I talk to you and stuff like that, it's like the way you look at things and different things like that, that you incorporate into archery and different things like that. So I think that that's pretty awesome. It's like almost like a balance of, I don't want to say spiritualness, but like a balance, you know what I mean? Like you can even see it the way you guys shoot. Everything is balanced, equal, and it's, you know, it's pretty awesome and amazing. That it's something that I've picked up, and that's something that I try to put in, not only into archery, but everyday life and stuff like that. A complete balance of everything.
That's all about.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Next. And then next question is, let's see here. She wanted to ask this question.
She? What's her name?
This one came from Evelyn. Do you think archery could be used for home defense?
Not as a last ditch, and if you have no gun.
We were in a situation.
I mean, you need, first of all, you still hear us? Because it was a cutout?
Yes, I can still hear you.
So in my opinion, you first of all would always need to have a strong bow somewhere laying around, that you have it ready. Like a gun, you grab it and you can shoot. When you have a loaded gun somewhere, it's easy with a bow. If you have a strong bow here, I mean, in a small flat like I live right now, I don't know. I don't know if there would be any situation where you could possibly defend yourself. But if you have like a farmhouse and fields around it and you want to defend yourself in your surrounding, I can see that, yes.
Okay.
I would agree, but I also disagree, because if I'm looking at your compound bow, Armin, you would be able to use it instantly for self-defense.
Yeah,
just grab it and shoot. But in every country you are allowed to have guns. The first choice would be a gun for the self-defense.
Just in case you don't have,
or a shotgun or a pistol or something like that, and you have to have it at your hand. So it doesn't help if you have it in a safe somewhere. You have to have it in your sleeping room or somewhere.
So better have a bow standing around, until you open up your safe and get your another place and whatever. So until you get your bow or your knife, your weapon.
We talked about it in the past, Armin and me, because of writing and so on. What is a point with bow and arrow is most of people would underestimate the bow. So maybe if a guy comes in with a knife and you grasp your bow, he will say, "Oh, fuck off with your bow," because he don't realizes that you are able to kill a bear with this bow. And he thinks he has only, back then people didn't realize how dangerous an arrow or a bow can be. So that may be one advantage.
Yeah. I mean, only watch the last Rambo, Last Blood, the last scene when he is in this barn, and the other one comes in and he nails his shoulders. It's
that's nice,
nice. Yep. So yes, if
not
you have
the first
else,
choice, not the first choice,
and it's not the last ditch, because the last ditch for me would be always a knife or my hands. But if you have the chance and have a little distance to you, and you have a bow and arrow right, and you know how to use it, even close quarter combat this situation, yes, of course.
Yeah.
My next question is archery more mental or physical? Because we have the physicalness of it to where you have to have muscle memory. And if you do muscle memory to the T, is the mentalness still a part of archery then, or vice versa? Does it all need to be mental first and then translate to physical? I understand the question,
but your muscles will not work without your mental command. So your muscles will not do anything. It would be a reflex when you get an electric shock that you go away, but then still it's processed by your brain. So you will still use your brain or your consciousness or your subconsciousness in a way. I personally think it's more mental than physical, but I would simply keep it balanced. You can't do Without a body, you can't shoot a bow, and without a brain, you can't use your muscles or your body. So you need both.
Okay. Okay.
I agree on that.
And you disagree again? Come on, make it.
No, not disagree, but putting in another aspect.
Okay.
What is important if you're thinking about combat or hunting, and even if you're doing archery shows and stuff like that, performances or videos, your mental, the mental aspect is very important, because you have to check the whole situation. You have to get any informations, even if you're not aware of every little aspect, but you see them, you hear them, you smell everything. So the mental side, because then if you're just raising your bow and shoot, that's just a muscle memory, that what you have trained and exercised a lot, and that will function. If you're not, but think about hunting, Mack. If you're nervous on the whitetail and you got shaky knees or something, so it's a lot more the mental side, for example, in hunting, than the mechanical side of the shooting process. So in that aspect, I would put the mental side for a well-trained archer above the mechanics, above the muscle thing.
80-20. I would say 80-20, 80% brain, 20% muscles.
Yeah.
I would say 70-30. Okay, fine.
Okay, 35 to 7.
Don't forget to smile, Mack. Don't take it so serious. We only talk. Thank you.
No,
you need more coffee. Now the coffee is going.
Yes, I need more coffee.
Or some Kentucky moonshiner.
Oh man, I tell you what, I love Kentucky moonshine. Every once in a while, I can still get some here and there. It's hard to come by nowadays, but you can still get some. There's so many laws now about making alcohol.
And they still have them in that cucumber glasses and so.
That's
nice.
You can still get them in the jars.
I love that in the movies when they have these cucumber glasses with the moonshine whiskey and drinking.
Nice.
Another question that I have, and this is a personal one. Do you believe? All right. I was having a conversation with another archer. Me and him disagree on many things. He's a well-known archer. I'm not going to say his name or anything like that, because I prefer that he doesn't say my name in a video or anything like that, but he believes that we are at the top right now of where archery ever could be. Do you guys believe that there is a cap to traditional archery? Or do you think that we have just begun since we've started recently doing it? Again, what are your guys' thoughts?
For me, it's a development, an ongoing development. There is no end.
There is no end.
At least not now. At least not now. So
there's no cap. There's no cap.
No, for a long time, no cap. We just started, as you said, we're just right now in kindergarten or in preschool. With the traditional archery, what we have now. So there's way to go.
Okay.
I disagree. Because I'd say, what is the last thing which was invented really new to archery? What we are doing with a simple bow and a simple arrow was done thousands and maybe millions years in the past. And they had the very same problems we now have today. The really a big step in archery development in tackle was the invention of the composite bow. If it's a Western composite bow, an Eastern composite bow with sinew and your stuff, and also the laminated bow. And one big step was putting fiberglass on the bows. That solved 1,000-year-old problems of archery. And maybe the compound bow was one big step.
Yeah.
But tell me another one. Yeah, that now we are using carbon arrows.
Materials and buildings. I mean, even shooting. It's not always the same. You shoot different styles, you shoot different things. You never know what somebody will come up. I mean, trick shots and whatever, more multiple arrows at a time, or I don't know. I think there's still, or when you see knockless arrows and the speed of knockless.
Yeah,
so
that's true. But that would be true with any sport or any thing you do, because if you train, if you say, I like to be able to read 1,000 books in a week, and you're just training that, of course. So one guy will go out and say, I'm able to read 1,000 books a week.
And it can inspire others.
If that makes a lot of sense for reading, or if that other stuff makes a lot of sense for archery, if, oh, I can jump from a tower and shoot. Okay, if you train it and do it, okay, it's nice, but it's not a development, but it's an exercising or training of a special trick or stunt.
Development, but even material-wise, I mean, why do we have now laminated bows if the composite bow with horn and bow and sinew and wood would be already the pinnacle of everything? Then there would be no development, but we still have development, and there's still new materials coming. And you will see that many Asian bows, they have the problem when they are laminated, and and you don't shoot heavy enough arrows, and yada yada, delaminate. They come up with new materials. They have synthetic foam in it instead of whatever, and carbon layers in it. So there is still new things coming. And one piece, maybe they make molds and whatever, put some graphene or carbon or whatever in a mold, and
yeah,
there's still
just think about the snake bows. Plastic bows, nice bows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And even plastic materials, they change. You never know.
Yeah,
maybe there's,
that's true. That's true.
Memory, some memory effects in it that you can do different things. I don't know. It blows me. There's so many things.
But even if you have a very new material nobody knows now,
of course,
this bow wouldn't be better than a very well-made bamboo laminated bow.
Yeah, of course, but you never know. I mean, when you see like the metal bows, the steel bows they had in Pakistan and India, they didn't really survive. So nobody's shooting a metal bow anymore. I would like to shoot one, but they most probably have a handjob like crazy. So that's why it's, and I think there's still, that's why I think that the end is not reached yet. Otherwise, they would have stopped developing it 1,000 years ago.
What about skill?
Yeah, this is what I mean. This is the other part, not material, but this is what I meant in the first place, is skill development, speed,
that's
distance,
what I said.
accuracy. But if it's a matter of training.
Yes, if you train a special stunt or thing, there is room. Yeah. No, of course, there's you can top. If one says I can shoot so many arrows in so many seconds, and one, but I think it's a kind of a pinnacle we are, because it's very sophisticated what you are doing, Mack, and what these fast shooters and so are doing. So if you can find something to have another way to hold your finger, I don't know, maybe there's some development.
Okay, let's say it's the same tree branch, like even Murat Etzfiri said, it's one tree, and then it has different branches and different twigs and different leaves, and they are still expanding like in nature. And until this tree will fall down, it might take a few hundred more years.
Yeah, see, I believe my personal thoughts on that is that we're like what you said, that we're all just a bunch of kindergartners, and we don't understand what even 12th grade or college is going to be like, especially with accuracy, long distance, even with just on a regular longbow. I mean, like and we lost so much information through history, like with the invention of guns and stuff.
No. I disagree. So? We lost. Which information we lost?
I mean,
first of all, the information about archery, this target archery, in my opinion, is not archery in the first place. What we do standing there shooting a target at 10, 20, 30 meters is, I think, was not the first development of archery. archery was forgotten, and then somebody, whatever, had this idea, oh, let's shoot now a target.
Archery was never forgotten.
And this is now archery. But I think when you see again the martial art aspect, which archery always was, and for me still is,
yes,
there is still, because in this, and as when you tell someone archery is a martial, no, archery is a sport. So sport, full stop, there is nothing else. And then you show them, look, there's some release. What, arrow on the wrong side? Are you stupid? You know, this is still...
It's not about that, I mean, it's not about which way to shoot, or Eastern or Western, or I don't know, Southern or Northern. It's not about that. But archery was never forgotten, never, because really. There are still cultures in the Amazon or somewhere, they are living an archery culture, and these old manuals, what Lars Andersen is mentioning, and the Saracen archery, so it's all available. So nothing is forgotten, in my opinion.
But the skill, but nobody has the skills anymore, and they think, okay, I can shoot now with an Olympic bow on 70 meters, a group like this.
Yes, hey, but then he's just dumb. Then he don't knows the whole aspect.
So then there's room for growth in general under
for one single person. There's always room for growing,
and when you grow and you grow and me grow, then there are three people that can grow.
Yes, but that's
my
not
grandfather. I don't mean to interrupt you guys, but my great grandfather was a full-blooded Native American. He was Cherokee. My grandfather was half. Okay, and he would watch his dad go to bars, because he wasn't allowed in them because of segregation laws and all that other stuff. And, you know, back in the day, and the Native Americans weren't allowed to go into certain bars and stuff like that. Well, he would stand outside. His dad would stand outside the bar, and the guys would take a 6-shooter gun and then shoot bottles with it. And he said that I can shoot faster than you with my arrows from like 10, 15 yards away. And he would hold 6 arrows. And it was just like a way to make extra money and stuff like that, because Indians had a hard way to go. And he would sit there and he would shoot the 6 arrows faster and more accurately than they could shoot a 6 gun. That kind of skill was lost here in America. And then once Lars did a video on it, you know, and he even talked about the Native Americans here that could fire quickly, that have 10 arrows in the air. You know, my great grandfather, which would be like 120 years old right now, from his tribe and his people and stuff like that, that was kind of handed down, that it was lost and lost and lost and lost. And I believe that was that way throughout the rest of the world as well, because once you get firearms, things get a lot easier. I mean, you can go boom, 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 boom. You know, you can train a soldier in 6 weeks times instead of a year and a half. So that's where I believe that like a lot of information and stuff like that might have been lost because of the 500 years that we've had firearms and a different type of warfare.
But I totally agree with you, Mack. But you tell us now this story from your and grandfather, so it's not lost, because you know it.
True,
you know it.
True. Yes. True.
We tend to say the lost things. I had this once on Facebook. There was always a post coming up, the book of lost, the lost book of herbs, medical herbs, and then I really had to write underneath. So how can this book exist when it's lost? You know, so we tend to call it lost, but it's simply forgotten, or not everybody thinks about it anymore. That the major population doesn't know about that. Yeah. Of course, individual people still know it, and that's why it's still alive. Nobody said it's dead.
And there are two aspects. Let me say this, Mack.
Yes, sir.
Not for every person it is important what we are talking about. You know, some persons are totally uninterested in archery or so. But what I think what you wanted to say is these grandfathers passed it down to their sons and grandchildren, and so, and that tradition is kind of lost. That's true. That's true. But it's not lost because Lars Andersen said they can shoot 8 arrows in the air and this and that, so it's not lost. We know it, and we talked about it with Murat Özveri, because I always say a lot of these military stories and combat stories are kind of propaganda too. Look what we can do with our arrows. So maybe today we are capable of doing stuff they just bragged about. They were not capable to do it back then, but some guy read it in an old book and says, oh, and Murat does this. They could do this and that, and then they try it. And who knows if they were capable of doing this back then, and just wrote the manual to put it on behind the enemy lines, and they read, oh, they can hit it 120 yards. Horrible. Let's flee. You know. So there are more aspects.
Psychological.
See, when I first started archery, I thought that what my great grandfather could do was a fable. I thought it was just, you know, like what you said, it was just propaganda. Well, my grandfather, when he went to war, his dad ended up getting kicked in the head by a Kentucky thoroughbred because he was a horse trainer. And so that like ended the line. He never came back home to actually learn from his dad because his dad was always on the road, always on the move, training horses and stuff like that. Never got the time to teach his son. So he told my dad that, and then my dad told me, it's just a fable. It's just, oh yeah, okay, yeah, great granddad could do that. Okay, I'm sitting here with a bow, and I had to teach myself. But once I saw Lars Anderson do it, and I'm like, holy crap! Okay, this guy can do it. So that
now I'm believing
you could do it.
When you saw Lars Anderson, you thought, oh, now I believe the grandpa story.
Yes.
I like to put one more aspect into that grand or granddad story. You know, if he didn't compete against real pistoleros, it's a different, you know, if they were farmers having the 6-gun shoot, bam, like that and that, you know, he was a well-trained archer, maybe, I think so. And it's not said that they were well-trained gun shooters.
Well, see, that's the thing about the American and the American West. If you go to, like, all boys wanted to be like Jesse James. All boys wanted to be like Billy the Kid. It was a well-known thing, and that's one of the greatest things that actually came from our Civil War, was people being able to fire quickly and fire fast. You know, that's when the first Gatling gun got invented. That's when the first grenade got invented.
The Henry rifle.
Civil War. And to shoot quickly. And, you know, like the Native Americans, and from some of the stories, now some of the stories contradict other stories, but there was a lot of different tribes, and a lot of different tribes shot different ways and did stuff like that. But I do know that the Native Americans did defeat us in some battles. The American army in some battles. You know what I mean? There was treaty signed with them and stuff like that because they were lethal with their bow and arrows. They were, you know, there's like no discussion about that. And
they had a much higher fire rate than any, you know, even at the Little Bighorn, Custer's cavalry had single breech loading rifles, single loaders, you know, and the Sioux, and they were able to shoot fast with their bow and arrow, faster than them.
Yes.
And on the other hand, they had Winchester repeating rifles, and Custer's guys didn't.
Right. Yes. And I believe that a lot of these old fables of like even with the English and the English longbow, I believe that they shot at a much faster and a much higher rate than what we think of now. Because right now, what we know archery of is for one shot, one kill while you're hunting. They had to use it in combat against guys who could have armor on them that could stop some of the penetration of arrows. And they had targets that were 250 meters away, you know, like the Koreans today shoot 145. And I'm like, and so when I get to thinking about, you know, like, is there a cap in traditional archery? Have we already reached that cap? I don't believe that we've come close. And I believe that a lot of these fables that, you know, we hear of and stuff like that may actually be truth. It may actually be real. Like somebody can shoot 500 yards, or like the Turkish general who shot off of, I think, the side of a mountain and shot one of the soldiers 300 meters away.
what's the advantage of doing this? You know, when, for example, these English longbow archers, you know, and back then in 1200 and so on, 1300, 1400, they were used as a kind of tactical weapon. So they took the French by surprise. The French didn't await this massive archery force. So they were surprised, and it was an advantage to the English knights and so on. But I don't think that, you know, they had, I don't know, they had 24 or 48 arrows each archer, and they were used for tactical purposes. They're not just shooting at the enemies like crazy, because on the other hand, they couldn't penetrate the armory. They couldn't. Of course not. Because it's like today, if one guy shot through a bulletproof vest, the other guy will say, okay, we need another plate here in front or something. So I think, or if you say 500 yards or 300 yards, it doesn't matter. If a guy shoots at me with the bow and arrow, with an arrow from 200 meters, I just simply raise my shield because I see the incoming arrow.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I don't see.
But then you think, okay, this arrow came, now I can lower my shield. But then you have this guy who shoots 5 arrows rapidly, and you bing, bing, and then you try to boom, and then you got killed. So that's
but your neighbor soldier, your comrade, will see this and don't lower his shield. So
you never know. I was not there, but I think, and this is not always these combat situations. I mean, combat means even whatever, you sit in somewhere and then 3 bad guys come around the corner, not in a military formation or whatever. So, and the bow and arrow was the medium to short distance weapon at the time.
Yes, in Eastern cultures. But what did they? They raided villages, even maybe smaller. If it's a smaller fortress, you can shoot as fast as you want or as far as you want. You won't do any damage, in fact. If you raid a village or, you know, these yurts or something, of course, they ride in and they shoot a few people and the other people will raise their hands. Of course. So it's not about, it's a kind of also psychological warfare. But it was, I think it's a very rare situation, like Lars Andersen shows. He shots 4 enemies and so on. Yes, if an archer is in a bar fight, maybe, but you know.
But it's like in every martial art, the more you are trained and the more aspects of every possible situation comes across you, you are prepared, the better you are, the better your chances that you survive. Of course, it's not the main thing, most probably. You know, it's at 3 meters, 4 people. Yes.
Yeah. Look, the same is true, because I know these war bow shooters is kind of a religion of its own.
Oh yeah.
It's just, these are even crazy guys like the total Eastern guys. They say, oh, that's the best thing. And they, oh no, the war bow and so on. Yeah. They are all kind of crazy in a kind of religious thinking.
Yeah. And they say that there's only one type of way to do it. And if you don't do it this way, then you're a complete outcast. And that's what happened to me. That's what happened to me, because they told me that it was impossible to do it with a 75-pound bow. I made a 75-pound bow. I did it with a 75-pound bow just to say, hey, it's plausible.
It's possible, of course.
Now, coming from my, you know, just like my background and stuff like that, you know, like I taught myself how to do everything. Step by step. Like I said, it took me 1,000 shots just to get my bow hand and my bottom 2 fingers right. So I've been, you know, very comfortable, I guess you can say, with the bow over the last 8-9 years. And it's taken me a long time to get here. Now, it's taken my sons so much less time, because they're able to build and grow off of what I'm doing now. Yeah. My son the other day, by learning, he shot 2 arrows within 3 seconds. He is 8 years old.
Yeah.
You know, now, if a lot of these old tribes and a lot of these old people, you know, these ancient cultures, if they learned and if they developed, then they turn around and they taught their children what were their children actually capable of. We have no idea because there's like hardly any records. Over the last 10,000 years. We have a handful of records. I could put all the records in a piece of paper like this, over 7,000, years. And a lot of what these historians are doing, and I think it's wrong, is that they'll say that the art is completely bullcrap. But what a lot of people don't understand is that the art in the back in the day was the only way to communicate because everybody was basically illiterate. I think it was like one person or two people out of 30 people could actually read and write.
Yeah.
So how did they convey what they were doing to the people? They would have to have another way, and the art way is the only way to do
it. This kind of extremists in every camp. The warbow guys, the Eastern guys, and maybe the guys like me,
yes, there are a few too. Yes.
They are just picking the stuff like the scientists. They're just picking the evidence. Cherry pick. Because I had a discussion when I was in South Korea. There was a kind of archaeologist, and also Murat was there, and we talked about back quivers. There's no evidence in history for back quivers. We had the same on Facebook. Then I searched through Google to antique statues, to drawings, to paintings, and I showed a lot of depictions of a back quiver. What they said then? They said, "Oh, these are the artists. They're crazy. They just painted it like that."
No. Because Mihai's back quiver that he has right there. If you look at a lot of the old photos, they were as easily grabbable, just like Mihai's. They were, if you look at all those back quivers, and that's one thing that was a translation issue when Lars said that and stuff like that. But the back quiver, the way that they would grab the arrow and the way that they would go and shoot, it would be easily doable for me, who I'm a novice compared to our ancient ancestors. 1 arrow per second, arrow per second, accurately. 30.
And you don't need it. If you shot 1 arrow every 3 seconds, it's fast enough for everything.
Yeah, there is no thing like fast enough.
I want to say one more thing. What is true, if you're training to shoot fast, of course, then you are able very secure if you shoot slow. You understand? Of course, if you overtrain yourself with fast shooting, then you shoot 3 arrows in 3 seconds, of course. But if you just need to shoot 3 arrows in 9 seconds, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Then you're not in a stress situation anymore.
Yeah. No, when I go further back, like I can do a 70, 80 meter shot, and I can hit like a 2-liter Coke bottle. I can, but and like I'm only 8 years into archery. Now just think if I was 8 years old in a much older culture or something like that, I believe that where I'm at right now in my age, that I would be a lot further along than where I would be right now, and I do agree with you and what you said and stuff like that. Yeah, you can be a lot more accurate when you're going slower. And I think one of the things that when people are looking into history and stuff like that, they don't take in account of the body armor of what the soldiers wore and stuff like that. Like there was technological advances in leather and metal and different things like that. So they
also disadvantages when you wear their armor.
Yeah, and then they would have to take those extra moments into a shot. So 1 arrow every 3 seconds would be applicable to that time in that era, but it wouldn't have been applicable if it was 300 years before then, before the technological advantages in the armor or the legs or, you know, and different things like that, you know. So I think that there was all that lost information and stuff like that, because before you had all this armor of soldiers and different things like that, I believe that people shot a lot differently. I think that they shot according to their times per se. You know what I mean?
They fought differently.
Yeah.
They fought different, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like, yeah.
If you have no body armor, it's a different game. Of course.
Just like the Hittites, when the Hittites had their technological advances, the Egyptians had to come through and make their sword in a different way to where they can grab the shield and pull it down and then cut their opponent. You know, like those were technological advances that were not taken into consideration. And we don't know anything about the BC era before all these great technological advantages and advances. So like when there was soldiers and there was armies, you know, like when the Romans first came and stuff like that, we know very little on archery because, and the reason why I believe this is just a personal belief of mine, the reason why we don't know much about archery through the ancient world is because it was more like of modern day missiles. Like we know about them, we see pictures of them, and we can write stories about them, but we don't know everything there is to know about a missile because it is military secrets. You know what I mean? Like, you know, most of us don't know how to go out and build a grenade launcher. You know what I mean? We know what it can do. We can write about that, you know, 400 or 500 years from now, if like to say the sun darkens and it comes back to life, you know, we won't know anything about that, but there would be stories told about that and so on and so forth. So
it was so far that maps were secrets and so on, and the routes they took over the oceans, and they were secrets. They killed you if you told someone a map or something like that. So let me say this. It's the same like today, like you say, Mack. Back then, thousands of years ago, it was the same game. If you can hit the enemy by surprise because you can do something they didn't expect you could do. Of course, they are thinking, okay, after 60 meters, it's over with the archery. And if there comes a little archery unit and they are able to shoot 120 meters, they can hit them by surprise, of course.
But I don't believe that's why I think it's so important that guys like you and Lars and Mihai are here to push the boundaries, to see what is with the material we have nowadays possible in archery, and not only standing there and shooting a target at 30 meters and shoot the 10 cross in the middle, because this is, you know, that's why I think it's important to simply push by, even with war bows, and see, okay, how heavy can I go before I damage my shoulders, whatever. I can shoot 200 pounds all day long or whatever. I think it's good to push these boundaries that we see, because I think everything we do now was already done.
And you know,
sometime
these battles, like today, was yesterday, it's the same. They don't lasted that long time. They wrote in the books because they fought from sunrise to dawn. They fought on the battlefield. That's not true, of course not. Nobody has to shoot the bow all day long. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's preposterous to even think so. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And it's really hard for us to decipher what is propaganda and what is truth.
That's why it's practical archaeology, practical archaeology, when you do it and when you simply show what is possible right now. And there is still no cap, in my opinion, to finish the question. But on the other side, we are now already beyond the 2-hour mark. I don't know how long we want to continue. Maybe one more question, and then we finish the questions next time.
We invite you again, Mack.
Yes, of course. In a few weeks, you're here again. We finish all your questions. No worries. But we can't do it because it's now already a little.
And you can collect some more.
Okay, and next time I won't drink so much coffee beforehand.
Why not? Why not?
I talk really fast. And well, just to let you guys know, like I actually underwent a really bad brain trauma. I was a tree climber, and I fell 76 foot with my rope was tied into the chipper. So somebody put a log in the brush into the chipper, and I was hooked into the tree. And me and the tree were getting pulled like this. And then next thing you know, the bug strap didn't break. You know, man-made materials, way to go. Did not break, and it snapped the branch with me, and I came down. I broke my back in 7 different spots. I have bad brain trauma. So that's the reason why if I start misfumbling when I speak and stuff like that, that's the reason why I'm still recovering from that. And I had this right here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I had 7 surgeries on here. They told me I would never lift 20 pounds again. I did not believe what the doctor said. You know, as soon as I could muster up the courage to get up out of the wheelchair, and I went full on, and then I healed myself. I didn't go to their rehabilitation centers or anything like that. And that's kind of like what made me a conspiracy theorist. And that's what started me. I'm like, what is real truth? I was laying there with 46 broken bones. Doctors told me I'd be lucky if I walked. I could feel one of my toes, couldn't feel the other side. They said I would never walk. This is, you know, preposterous. Don't even think about this. But what they couldn't kill that human spirit, my mind, and something inside of me says, no, don't listen to them or whatever. And I couldn't afford to go to all their rehabilitation stuff. So I had to look it up on my own. Well, at Google at the time was a gold mine, because then they went into this kind of healing. Wait a minute, who's this guy Bruce Lee? And what did he do when he broke his back and stuff like that? And then next thing you know, I come into the doctor's office a year later when I can afford a visit. And here I am pressing 230 pounds. I'm chiseled. And he's like, you're a walking miracle. And I'm like, no, doctor, look, what you're saying is wrong. Like the body can recover itself. Here, take a look at these books. And out of here, out of here. I do not listen to you. So if I do misfumble my speech, but that's
no
the reason
problem.
why, because I'm still
No. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Just to put you in the right place. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Don't excuse yourself with damaging or hurting your body. You're okay. A really pleasure.
Thank you. And I was really nervous about today's meeting. So, you know, talking with you two, I look up to you guys big time. Everything that you guys say and stuff like that. And if I forget it in this conversation, I have short-term memory loss. And that's also what's kind of prevented me from being a lot further in archery. I'm going to go back and I'm going to like, oh, he said it like this. Okay. So I'm going to, you know, like take notes and stuff like that after you guys publish this video and stuff like that. So, and I want to thank you for the time to come on and to take some of my students' questions.
Of course.
And stuff.
Can we take one more? One more question, actually, an easy one.
1 more hour.
But an easy one, not like again about battle strategies, please.
Who's your greatest student? That came from one of my students, and he is he's good. He's good. So, but who is your guys' greatest student? One that I wouldn't say greatest, but one that sticks out to you the most, that had to overcome something like a disability or something like that, and that you really got time to work with and stuff, or, you know.
I don't know. I have a few in mind. Was one of my former instructor girls. She was we had a competition here, and I simply said, listen, you are not as good as my main instructor. They both went to this competition, but I said, you will win because you have the mindset. I simply told her, listen, you go there and you simply shoot this freaking target. And she simply went there and did this. And the other instructor was a little show off, and then he missed one arrow. And she still hit. So she won, and exactly how I predicted, she won this competition. She's simply, she was a very, very sensitive, but in this regard, you couldn't rattle her brain. She was completely spot on. I said, listen, you go there and you simply shoot the freaking target all the time. And she simply went there, bam, 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 and she won this competition.
Yes.
Awesome. So this is one of them. And I had at one in Lebanon at the school where I was teaching. She was totally in love with archery, and sometimes in this one school year, she shot better than me. And then she always said, but now you're angry that I'm better than you. Know, you can't do me any bigger favor or show me any more respect than if you shoot better than me. Because then I know I brought you somewhere, and from there you picked up and went your own way. So these are things I like to see in students, that they don't follow you 100% and then they don't develop anything else. So I give you the basics and you go on. This is what I like.
That is awesome.
Yes, we saw you, Kitty. Now put the hat on the Kitty.
That's I don't can say or can tell you a special student or so, but one of the peak experiences I ever had was a kind of society of blind people. Mm-hmm. And they contacted me. They had the crazy idea, we like to try archery.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I have pictures, I will repost them. And there were people, they saw very little, very just like blind and real blinds. Mm-hmm. And it was in a kind of restaurant, and I put on arrow netting. How is it called? Mm-hmm. Yeah, arrow catch net. Yeah, mm-hmm. And a balloon in front with a on a string, and I had one of these alarm watches who made beep 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 beep, and I put that watch behind the arrow net, and I guided them, and after about 1 hour, every person of this blind handicapped people was able to hit the balloon.
Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome.
I helped them, and I guided them. But the other thing was they could hear if they hit something, because the balloon break, bomb, and I hit it. And it was such a nice experience, because I said it's like in an old saga or legend when bowmen teach archery to the blind ones.
Yeah. It
was really nice.
I had a blind mother. She always brought her son to archery every Saturday or every Sunday in the morning. And then one day I was sitting there with her. I said, why don't you try it? Yeah, I'm blind. And she was completely aggressive, said, yes, and she was like, what do you mean? I said, come with me. And then we went into the beginner section, and I positioned her. I said, so I now showed her grab the bow. The first time I guided her, I said, then now simply imagine 5 meters in front of you down there is something. You point there, you throw, you shoot. Bam, she hit the target. And then we did it again a few times. And later on, she shot completely on her own. I placed her. There was a cone with the arrows. And then she knew, okay, I know exactly I have to go 8 steps. And then she was picking up her arrows, went back 8 steps, found the cone, put the arrows in, and started shooting. And for 1 hour blind, I didn't even think about it.
And she also she also was better than you, I mean.
Of course, they always shoot better than me. I'm not a good archer.
After 1 week, she shot better than Armin.
Yeah, and she shot nice groups sometimes. Sometimes she missed, but she had this body feeling, and she really I point always at the same position, throw and shoot,
and these people, they were so lucky. Or another incident, it was at an event, and I had a kind of archery stand there for people to try. Just they walk by and shoot 3 arrows and walk. And there was a family walked by with 2 children, 2 sons, 2 boys, and one of these boys was handicapped, kind of Down syndrome, or mentally not ill, or how to say it. And the healthy boy, they go on, shoot. The parents said, and the boy shot, and so on. And then I said, and what about him? Oh, that's nothing for him. He can't do it. I said, why not? And then, they got me at the right spot. I helped this boy, and he shoot better than his healthy brother.
Yeah.
I said,
awesome.
You see, he's able to do it. Don't talk him down. I how you call it? I talked kind of angry to the parents, said, don't talk him down. He can do it.
Exactly.
I lectured them.
Awesome.
It's the limitation of the parents which limits the boy.
You limit the boy.
Even if you have autistic kids and you don't know it. I had once a group of kids. I was a small boy, 10, 11 years, and he was autistic and I didn't know that. So he had a little beginning to grasp the idea, but then he started shooting. And then after 10 minutes, he was jumping around and laughing. And then this guide, which came with him, said, I know this boy now since 3 years. I never even saw him smile. Yeah. And he was jumping and laughing because archery is opening up so much. So it's really a gift, archery.
Yeah. One time I did an event at a house, you know, in a village. It was a kind of, I don't know, a children's home for mentally ill children. Mm-hmm. There were different kinds of Down syndrome and others. And we tried it, and all they shot was nice. Nice.
Yeah. Do you think that a lot of these individuals who have setbacks and they're doing phenomenal things that most people would think that is like, wow, I mean, like that is just amazing, you know? Like if we go back to the question that I asked you earlier, what is it more mental or physical? I'm like, from what you guys are telling me about, you know, helping blind people shoot and hitting their target, not just once, but multiple times. It's like, okay, like it definitely has to be mental, like, you know,
mind.
It would definitely have to be.
Mind.
If you don't mind, it don't matter.
No, your mind is stronger than your matter.
Like what you told us, Mack, with your recovery from your accident.
Exactly. The same principle.
You were just able to do it because you had the right mindset. You say, I can do it, and I don't listen to the doctors. They say I should be in a wheelchair, but I don't like to be, and so on. And so you thought, you like a boxer who stands up. He gets a bad punch. Everyone in the auditorium says, oh, he's KO, he's done. But he crawls up and comes up and, was that all you got me? Come on. And that's the way to go, in my opinion.
You're a fighter.
Yep.
And that's
in some groups, when you do archery with groups of people, they come and shoot, and one or two persons say, oh, I'm sure I can't do it. I said, that's the first mistake. You can do it. If this person is able to do it, you are also able to do it.
And they speak into existence that they can't do it. And
that's kind of magic.
Program yourself. It's neuro-linguistic programming, of course. I had them too. They come, oh yeah, I'm not good in archery. Said, did you ever shoot bow and arrow? No. So how can you think you're good? Did you, when you learned as a kid to use fork and knife, could you do it directly? No, I had to learn it, how it works with fork and knife to eat. Same year, you need to learn how to use the tool. And after 10 minutes, she hits the target and, oh, I didn't know that. But they program, and this is this negativity. But this is, of course, again, I don't want to conspire now again, but this is mainstream media. Makes people's minds weak.
You know, that's a big point, not just mainstream media, but also most of artists or writers or, you know, they are dancers, artists. I just call them artists, or they call themselves artists. They are sitting in a television board in a show, and how you became to become a dancer, so how you got into yes, you know, I woke up one morning and I thought, oh, and so on. And they like to tell you that they are different breed, that they are different kind of people, and that's not true. Of course, I'm now way over 50 years old. I can't become now a ballerina in a ballet or a piano, a concert pianist. Of course not, because you have to start this when you're 80.
Now you limit yourself now already. Okay, this one
you can be the best ballerina
because physically you're not able, but play piano in 1 year. If you do it every day, you can play concerts in 1 year.
Yeah, of course. So, of course, if you really like this to do, and let me say one more thing. I'm not a big fan of Steve Jobs of Apple. I'm not a big fan of him, but in one of his presentations, he said a very clever thing. He said, look around. Everything you see was made by a person who is not smarter or more clever than you are.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah, of course.
I agree. I got one more thing that I would like to talk about. Armin, one of your last videos is that you said, mind your tongue. Yeah. Mind your tongue. Yeah, mind your tongue. And I think that as soon as I start teaching somebody archery new again, I think that that's the first thing that I'm going to tell them to do is to mind their tongue, not just with, like the chi and stuff like that, even though that it does work. As, like if you're going to say something negative about yourself, don't say it at all. Mind what you say when you're starting anything new. I've done boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've done wrestling, Muay Thai kickboxing. I was actually an instructor for a long time of Muay Thai kickboxing. And watch your mouth, mind your tongue, keep it closed so your chi is going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the excuse we use.
Because
chi is going.
It's a weapon. You can use it as a weapon. Once I was in a competition with another, there were more archers, but it was in pairs. You and another one had to walk out like a catwalk. It was in darkness, like a shooting cinema. It was completely dark. And I said to the guy next to me, I don't think you're able to hit anything in the darkness. He was done.
Of course.
So you can destroy with this talking your opponent, but you can also destroy yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the thing is, when they shoot, because mostly they get distracted. You have this monkey mind, which always jumps in again and tries to distract you. When you think about either your breathing or you think about the tongue, how you put it on your pellet, keeps your ego mind already busy and you shoot way more instinctively or intuitively or whatever, how you call it. That's why it has different purposes. And even a doctor from Austria said, now look, this video, I don't know what he exactly does, but he said, it's true. When you put the tongue up, it does something to your back muscles, to your neck, beneficial. So that's why, it's fine.
Okay.
But that's why, mind your tongue.
I made this alu tinfoil head because I thought you had a new technique. You're using the tongue for an anchor or something like that. I
use my tongue for certain things, but this is not the right show for this to explain.
A tangerine dream.
I don't know what dreams you have.
Now there's what was it? The song Tangerine Dream.
Tangerine Dream, yes.
And I said Tangerine Dream.
That's fine. So 2.5 hours, I think we should come to an end for today. We will invite you very soon again if you still want to talk to us, Mack.
Most definitely.
And we need to work, but next time we start directly with the rest of the questions of your students because they have the right to be answered and to hear our answers. Like Evelyn, thank you for your question.
And I'm just rattling on throughout this interview, and I apologize.
Me too. We are the same, but when we structure it directly in the beginning, then we can start our whatever we do later.
Conspiracy shit.
We don't have. And we didn't even talk about the book of the week, but we'll simply bring it next time. Or you have it here.
Okay.
Next time.
All right. I got you.
Oh, what is it? Now we are on.
Now we are curious now.
Wild edibles, it's just something I believe that everyone should have.
Yes.
It's because the Bowman didn't send me his book, and that's the reason why it's not my book of the week. I wasn't. I don't know where the link is, so put the link in the video so I can buy it. But yes, wild edibles. Everybody, go learn wild edibles.
Very nice.
Tons of nutrients in there. But yeah, that's it right there.
My book of the week is a Maltese version of Robin Hood. It's a nice book from 1976, and it has really nice, nice drawings in it. And you see even Robin Hood shooting, because some people always say me longbows don't have recurves on it. Look at this. has slightly recurves. So they heat bended them. They knew the benefits of changing the string angle, but it's more
it
about
was just the artist. It's just the artist
and then
shit.
The artist, look at this short arrow. This is a 25
wow.
arrow or something. It's really short. So, you know, but the people in medieval times, they were maybe smaller and they had only full of 25 inches. We don't know. That's why we need to...
Because the bows were so strong.
No, that's why we need to have people like Mack who really, you know, push the boundaries of what's possible right now and what we simply think, because the mind is a limitation. The only limitation we have is the mind. Of course, we have physical limitations too. We can't run in the light of speed or in the speed of light or something, but you know what I mean. And your book of the week?
My book of the week is kind of connected to Armin's. It's a Robin Hood book by Nigel Cawthorne. And it's a nice book about, it's not the Robin Hood story, but it's about the legend of Robin Hood, how it became such a legendary story, and the roots of the story, the first sources of the ballads and so on. We talked about it in the past.
Nice.
So it's a nice recommendation. I would recommend everyone who's interested in the Robin Hood myths and legends and the historical background of this stuff. A very nice book.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
Done for today.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Guys. So we put the link to your
much for having me.
I don't understand. You froze again?
Oh, there. Am I back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you said you're going to put the link to my YouTube.
Put the link to your YouTube and your Facebook in the description of this video so everybody can check it. And you will even get the complete video. You can upload it by yourself.
Yeah. If you like so.
All right, thank you so much.
Everything is fine. Or at least you have it and then you can watch it offline if you want to. You know, want to take notes.
Yes,
so,
of course.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting. You're really very interesting and inspiring guy. I think you have this flame of archery in you, and you really can ignite a lot of people with this real virus archery, because this is for me the only real virus exists. Is archery.
Yes. I appreciate
it, you can't go away from it anymore, and you have it. You can do this.
Was an amazing talk.
Guys, that means the world to me. That means the absolute world to me. You guys are like role models to me. You know, along with Mihai and Lars, I highly look up to you guys, and for you guys to say it means the absolute world to me. Guys,
but you know that the world is flat, right? The Earth is flat.
Yeah, of course.
Oh no, okay, we talk about this another time.
No, it's not round. It's not round.
Oh.
It's flat.
Okay.
There we go.
Was a nice talk. Was a nice talk.
It was really nice.
Shoot straight, guys, and let's soon meet again.
Of course. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for watching all that you managed 2.5 hours. I mean, these people are amazing that they watch and listen to us for 2.5 hours. That's mind blown. So that's really respect to our viewers, and of course, like and subscribe and all this yada yada yada. Thank you very much, everybody.
Goodbye.
Okay. Thank you, Mack. See you soon.
Goodbye, folks.
Now you can do whatever you want to do. Take care of your family, okay?
Yeah. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. See you next time.